Do you want to create RAG applications, especially chat PDF type applications, without the hassle of choosing a vector database, choosing a library, and the other technicalities that go with it? Well, here is where Gradient's accelerator blocks come into picture. In this video, I'll show you how you can use Gradient's accelerator blocks to create amazing RAG applications without the hassle of selecting the vector database, without the hassle of selecting the right libraries. So without wasting any further time, let's jump to the coding section.
With the introduction out of the way, now I'll show you how you can create RAG applications with very few lines of code. Let us start the activity by going over the import as well as the installation section. The first thing that we require in the entire process is to install GradientAI. If you already have GradientAI, my recommendation to you would be to kind of rerun this entire cell because they keep updating their library very frequently, which is where what you require is the latest version of GradientAI library. So I'll quickly run this cell to install GradientAI. So I've completed the installation. Now we'll go to the import section. So these are some of the modules that I require in terms of creating the RAG application. So what I'll do is I'll quickly import all the necessary files and functions that I require, and I'll quickly run the cell to import all of this in memory. Now, in order for you to use Gradient's amazing services, you require two serial keys. One is the access token, the other is the workspace ID. I've already created multiple videos to show how you can get the workspace ID and the access token. I'll link the videos in the description section of this particular video. Feel free to check those out. Once you have the access token as well as the workspace ID, all you have to do is you have to replace these particular values with your access ID or access token and workspace ID. I currently have my access ID and workspace ID in the Google Colab secret key, which you can see here. So I'll quickly run this cell to create environment variables of access token and workspace ID. Now the next thing that I'm doing is I'm creating an instance of the class gradient and I'm saving it into a variable gradient. So I'll quickly run this cell as well. Now you might be wondering, where is this video actually going? Are we actually creating RAG applications? Well, here is where the fun part starts, and you will be amazed in terms of how simple it is to create a RAG application. Here is where the magic point starts. So now I'll quickly unhide the cell to show you very few lines of code in terms of how you can create a RAG implementation without the hassle of choosing a vector database. Now let's go over this piece of code and I'll explain you what this piece of code is actually doing. The first thing that I'm doing is I'm calling the function create_rag_collection from the gradient module that we've just created an instance of. I define a name for it, which is attention rag 18th April. I define the slug. So slug here is the embeddings that we want to use in order to create the rag collection. So this is what I'm specifying. And I'm specifying the file path. If you have multiple PDFs for which you want to create a RAG collection, then you can specify the file paths for the following files. I currently have only one file, which is attention.pdf, that you can clearly see here. Attention.pdf is nothing else but the very famous attention is all you need PDF file, and I've uploaded it in the current Google Colab session. So that is something that I have here. Now before I execute this, I want to show you my account in terms of how my RAG collections are placed, and after I run this, how things will change is what I want to demonstrate. So this right here that you see are all my RAG collections that I've created either manually, so you can create a RAG collection through the website as well, or you can do it using Python the way I'm showing you right now as well. So these are the set of RAG collections that I have. Now I'll go back to the coding screen and I'll execute that piece of code. Let me quickly run this now. So we've successfully created the RAG collection. Every RAG collection is basically created using a unique RAG ID. So let us print the RAG collection ID as well. So the RAG collection ID is 1D5C etc etc. So this is a unique RAG collection ID assigned to these particular set of documents that we've created. In our case, it's just one document. Now I'll again go back to the UI screen and show you what has changed. So this right here is the change. We've successfully created a RAG collection. This is the name of the collection, that is attention RAG 18th April. This is the ID and this is the date and time on which this particular ID was created. So what we have done is, using Python, we've created a RAG collection ID. So if you notice, all the heavy lifting has been done by Gradient's RAG collection API. There's very little manual intervention that we've kind of done here. All we've done is we've just supplied the PDF document. If you have text files, if you have other sorts of files, then all of this can be kind of saved into a RAG collection, and then you can kind of query this particular collection and get answers, which I'll come to now. A RAG application video is incomplete if I cannot query the RAG collection that I've created. Let me go forward and now ask questions to this particular RAG collection that I've created. The code is again fairly simple. I call the answer function. I pass in the question. In our case, the question that I want to ask this particular RAG collection is, what is positional encoding? I specify the source here. So I say the source type is RAG and I specify the collection ID. In our case, the collection ID is the one that I've created here, which is this particular collection ID. And whatever result is generated, there will be a key value pair. The key in our case that we are looking for is the answer key, which will actually have the answer to the query that we are asking or the question that we are asking. And all of this will be saved into a variable called as result. So let me go forward and execute this cell. And now I'll show you the result as well. So this is the result. Based on the context information provided, positional encoding is a method, and then you have the answer in terms of what positional encoding is actually. We've successfully created a PDF question answering system which is entirely based on RAGs. The entire models that Gradient uses are open source models, be it for the embedding models or be it for the question answering models. All of these are open source models. What we've utilized is the amazing service that Gradient has created, which kind of abstracts out all the heavy lifting that you would have to do in order to create a highly scalable RAG application.
Well, what you've just witnessed is the power of creating RAG applications without the hassle of using or selecting a vector database, without the hassle or even knowing about which libraries are under the hood that are giving you the results. So this is what I wanted to share in today's video. I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do like the content that I create on my channel, it would be super motivating if you can press the subscribe button and also press the bell icon to be notified for amazing videos on data science, machine learning and generative AI. Thank you so much for watching the video.